Okay, good morning. And here we are at a final session of this module, how to meditate. So we'll start with the refuge and bodhicitta prayer, and those who have the books we have here, it's on page 14. We can recite together 3 times in English. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. So setting there a most profound Mahayana motivation for engaging in listening, reflecting, discussing, meditating, so forth. So we're sort of drawing this module itself to a close. I just thought to focus on, setting up your practice at home, meditation practice. We've discussed some of these elements before, but it's generally the question that most arises. It's just like, oh, okay, what do I do now? So the first of all is that we set up a regular practice. Like we know for anything in life, we need to, set that up regularly and to experience the benefits of meditation, or any activity, we need to dedicate ourselves wholeheartedly to it. So at least, try to meditate every day, or at least, a number of times a week. We know that if we just sort of come to it every now and then, it's like we don't make any progress, and then we've got to remember what it was we were doing, and it gets harder. Once we set a routine and keep it going in anything, isn't it? It seems to be easier. But then when we take a break, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to get back to it. So just, set a routine, and, there will be times when it's like, oh, I'm too busy. I mean, I always think that it's ironic that we have those thoughts. We do have those thoughts because, taking time for meditation seems to give us more time than when we're trying to do everything with our, frenzied mind. And so we know that, but also, the mind has those habits of giving any excuse possible. Okay, but we want to make it, as productive as possible. So even we do a few minutes, even at those times when we don't feel like it, just doing a few minutes, just, so that there's, and you might say, oh, now that I've done a few minutes, I might do a few minutes. And, we've talked about setting up your meditation space at home. If you have the luxury of having, a compa or a whole room or whatever, that's amazing. No, most people don't have that, but at least an area of your room, So, and somewhere where you're likely to sit and practice, as talking to someone during the week who was sort of like, well, I've set it up in my living room. And I said, but do you actually sit and practice in your living room? Well, not really. We'll move it somewhere where you're likely to practice. It's not working for you. So we experiment, right? I mean, maybe our living room is what works for us, So we've discussed about setting up your seat, setting up a cushion, setting up a, dare I say, sofa. That could be dangerous. Or, you know, straight back chair would be better. And then just like people have here a table, or, you know, if you've got meditation practices or prayers or practices that you want to, you know, make sure that's all available to you. So, you know, we have a sort of ritual about setting things up, and that itself has prepares the mind and, you know, makes it more likely that we're going to sit down. If you want to, and if it's meaningful, set up an altar. I think, you know, a lot of you here have perhaps already done that. It doesn't have to be as elaborate, obviously, as a gompa here. Just a simple altar with, you know, maybe if you have someone you regard as a spiritual teacher already or guide, and they're significant to you, put that on, or Buddha image, if that's significant to you, you know, sort of thing. You know, you can keep it simple, and then you can just make whatever offerings are pleasing to your mind, whether it be flowers or incense or food, or, you know, we have that whole practice of offering water bowls, and, you know, in some much later module, we'll go into all the significance of all of that. But for now, you know, just whatever makes your mind happy. For myself, when I was living a householder's life, my joy was going out into the garden and flying the flowers and going, you'll be next, you'll be next, you'll be next. Oh, you're coming up, rightio. Anyway, if it gives joy to your mind, you know, like that, it's up to you. Yeah. And of course, you know, we'd like the place to be as quiet as possible. We have no control over the external environment. And when we say, oh, I don't even have any control over the household environment, that could be true. You know, whatever, it is possible, as some of us may know, when we're faced with those conditions, it is possible to meditate in a crowded environment. But at first, we want to make it as quiet as possible, or at least a quieter time of day as possible. So finding the right time. You know, but even like dealing with people in prison, they've become very good meditators in, you know, what is not a conducive environment. I mean, some of them say, well, I just get up early at 3 a.m. And I go, fantastic. I rejoice from my bed at 3 a.m. But even places like those of you who've been to Copan or whatever, you know, the planes use it as a beacon, as a guiding beacon, because it's on a hill, you know, Copan Hill, for when they're landing. So, and then if you don't have that, you have, particularly on the weekends, it seems to be, the dog fights from below, and that's nodding away in familiarity. So fortunately, I was warned about this before I ever first went to Copan, because you have this idea it's, you know, going to be the most idyllic, quiet environment, and then it's not. But hey, there's a lot going for it. There's a lot going for it. And a lot of other conditions are there. So, you know, whatever we can do. And even like when I was at Seichen Ling in San Francisco, our center in San Francisco, before, where it was back then, was in the Lower Haight area, which is like a druggie district. Sometimes our Dharma centers are in druggie districts or red light districts because the rent is cheap. So it was like that. And so apart from people knocking on the door and wanting a feed or wanting whatever, we were also, like our morning practice, we were on a busy intersection with the traffic lights, and there'd be sirens going because, you know, we're in a druggie district. There'd be always sirens going. There were ambos or police or whatever. So it was quite noisy, but still, you know, you were together doing a practice, you know, whatever's possible. So you want it to be comfortable and inviting for you to want to come back to, basically. Oh, yes. Oh, that looks inviting and comfortable, you know. So you can experiment with whatever, different seating or different enticements for your mind. Maybe the altar, maybe putting flowers on the altar, and then you go, oh, might as well sit down now. So, and then we look at choosing a practice, choosing a particular practice. So we've had a taster of many different practices, and obviously a good place to start is meditations on the breath, and we have a lot of many different examples of meditations on the breath in the readings for this module. Zopa Rinpoche gives a few different ones, but even beyond those, there's many different approaches, meditation on the breath. And it's an easy thing to take as an object of meditation, you know. And it allows the mind to, as we've discussed, to calm down, and in that way we can start to develop some insight into our feelings, our thoughts, our state of mind. And so these are the two aspects. We need both that calm mind and the insight, the analytical side, which we've discussed, to make any progress of understanding the mind or getting any control of the mind. Any really successful meditation practice needs both aspects. And you know, just a plug for next weekend. That's what we'll be doing next weekend, doing both of those on Friday, Saturday, Friday, Easter, Saturday, on the calm abiding meditation, and then on the analytical meditation. So taking time, exploring different methods, you know. So once we're familiar with different meditation techniques and purposes for the different techniques, you know, we can choose the practices that are best suited to our particular needs, even at any time, you know, so we can remember all the different techniques, even we've explored now, or those of you who come along regularly to the other meditation sessions.
I just wanted to ask a question.
Please.
Many years ago, I did a Vipassana.
Yes.
10-day retreat.
Yes.
And they did a lot of body scanning.
Yes.
And in a way, that was the main. Well,
the body scan was the main
practice after you developed some
concentration on the breath. Yeah.
So I'm a little bit confused when we talk about, and they call it insight meditation.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah.
So is that just another method of insight alongside our?
There are many different methods of insight meditation, and you would say that if it was body scan, that would be like the mindfulness of the body, one aspect of the mindfulness of the body. You know, when we're talking about it in the Tibetan tradition, often we're talking about also all the topics of the Lam Rim, the graduated path to enlightenment. So anything that is using the mind's cognitive ability to be able to apply, well, in that case, in the case of the Lam Rim, it would be logical reasoning and points to unpack and look for our own experience in relation to those, meaning in relation to those. And so, yeah, the word Vipassana is used in many different contexts to mean many different topics of meditation, but we could say each of those topics is an insight meditation if it's focused on using the thinking capacity of the mind, you know. So a body scan we could use in different aspects. If you see like made popular like by someone like John Kabat-Zinn in health settings for people in chronic pain. So to be able to then, it's got a different function. It's not about developing insight, it's about, you know, relaxing more, or there might be some insight into that if you do an analysis on pain, right? That is often within those 10-day Vipassana retreats as well. So, but by focusing just on the body itself, we're not going to get enduring insight, because that's fine, but I mean, it's not fine. Of course it's fine. At the end of the day, we're going to leave the body behind. So what other insight have I developed in my mind that's not in relation to this form, this body? So this is where, you know, we look at, I mean, the ultimate, what we call a special insight is an understanding of reality, which we say is dependent arising, and the flip side, emptiness of inherent existence, which is a much later module. But, you know, that becomes applying this wisdom mind until we can see reality just as it is without all our elaborations on top. And that is special insight. So that becomes very much a focus of, certainly within the Tibetan tradition. I'm not saying it's not a focus within, because of course, certainly a focus within Theravadan tradition, because that's their aim, you know. So, yeah. And even, I think even within the 10-day Vipassana meditation retreats, you might have different meditations, whoever's leading the 10-day retreats and so forth. So it's very much styled on the Goenka method. Yeah, yeah. And actually it was interesting in the prisons, in the, there was a, there's two films about that. One is Kiran Bedi in India. She was the governor of, I think, in Delhi prison, and introduced the Goenka style meditation. What is it? Doing time during Vipassana for both the inmates and the staff. And it's quite interesting. I mean, the conditions they were in was pretty appalling. They were in a tent, you know, but also Dharma Brothers in Alabama State Correctional Facility, and they introduced it into the worst wing in the prison. And it took many years in a prison system to get to, you know, being able to offer Vipassana meditation, because that Goenka style is, this is how you do it, and there's no flexibility like you have it. And so the two leaders had to move into the facility. So it took a long time. But the result of that was such that those guys really took it on board and developed a regular meditation group. And then they had to change a governor, and then it was axed, and they secretly got together on the guise of some other education program so they could meditate. Really? Anyway, so then it went all pear-shaped again. So, and then they got, and then the wisdom came again to, oh, well, let's reintroduce it, you know. They could see the benefits. Now, I know that film doesn't go into all the meditations that they did. It's more like the experience of the people engaging in that, in those practices, and how they benefited, and, you know, from what they'd come from to what they were. So yes, we go beyond the body scans.
Can I ask a dumb question? I'm a very visual learner.
Yes.
Can you spell Vipassana for me?
Well, there's different ways. One way is Vipassana. One's the Sanskrit way and one's the Pali way. I think the Pali is the one that's VIPH.
I think it's vice versa.
Oh, well, whichever way it is. One's Pali, one's Sanskrit. VIPHYASANA. YASANA.
And can I ask another question, because I'm obviously a lot less, you know, knowledgeable. Is Kupang in Tibet?
Kopan's in Nepal. So it's the monastery that Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche set up for the monks that were at Laudo, where Rinpoche, yeah. And then subsequently, when in the 70s, or even the late 60s, but really in the 70s, when the you know, Westerners such as ourselves were doing the hippie trail and so forth, and ended up there and connected with the lamas, they started this month-long Kopan course, which is continued up until COVID. And that went a few years ago, which is like a deep immersion lam rim for a month, and where you do all these different styles of meditation, yeah, as well as teachings. So yeah.
Could we describe it as spiritual head office?
It's seen as, like, because it's the original one set up by the lamas, and yeah, it's like, I don't know, if we have a Mecca, that's it. Or if it's not Dharamsala, it's Kopan. Yeah. So it's where Lama Zopa Rinpoche has been for the last few years, actually. He's like, oh, he's at home. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So we choose a practice that's best suited for us, you know. So for example, if we're inclined towards anger, we choose an analytical meditation, such as meditating on patience, patience with ourselves, patience with our anger even, patience with our Dharma practice, patience with sickness, they say, or patience with the person who pressed your buttons in the first place, or the people, or the environment, or whatever it is. And loving kindness, you know, so that it's not all about me and opening our heart to others. So we learn what can be an antidote to different things, or if we've got strong desire or attachment, it's advised to meditate on something like impermanence and death and so forth. That brings our mind down a bit, you know, the desirous mind is sort of up and out. So it just sort of brings your mind down more. And then if we're feeling depressed, maybe meditations on joy or even on light, you know, really uplifting the mind and appreciating the potential of our life or all the conditions that we have. I mean, since I've been here in WA, I just think about the conditions here in WA as opposed to what's happening over in the East or, you know, whatever. And I think I'm appreciating that. Especially now the weather's cool, I'm appreciating it even more. And, you know, oftentimes, you know, we say, oh, my precious human rebirth and so forth, and oh, how fortunate we are, but we don't really necessarily feel it, appreciate it deeply. So by meditating on that and appreciating deeply all the conditions, all the opportunities we have and so forth, then it really, we do more deeply appreciate. And then those of us, of course, here within a Dharma context, and it's like, of course, we want to use it in that Dharma context, and already your mind might stress out about that. So then you've got to do a relaxation meditation. So if we're overwhelmed with the suffering in the world, Ukraine, COVID, and now I've heard there's, what is it, Delta Cron, or whatever, you know, we see in the world, which is easy to do, get overwhelmed by that, you know. Then we might meditate on developing a courage to be able to help others, you know, to have the power to be able to help others, or meditate on compassion for what they're going through. But we start with ourselves, with that compassion for ourselves. So it's always like that. With the patience, start with yourself. With the compassion, start with ourselves. And then, you know, once our mind is calm enough, when it's, you know, more familiar with developing concentration, or we use visualization as well to develop concentration more. And so, you know, also if we, and we'll go into that in more detail here, if you know, in the context of your meditation practice, like we say here, the refuge and bodhicitta prayer, or if you're familiar with, if it's meaningful for you to include those in your practice, we say that to set our mind in a, you know, most virtuous motivation, as we say, so we can appreciate that something like the refuge and bodhicitta prayer, that really, if we're going to say that, we want to say it and mean it. As Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, there's no point just going blah, blah, blah with prayers. There's no really effect on our mind. Or we can appreciate that this has been handed down all the way from Lama Atisha and feel some sense of connection to this whole lineage. And even we get more teachings on that and we appreciate what that means. So we can develop that appreciation. Or like when we come in here and we offer 3 prostrations. So those of you who have taken refuge, this is our commitment, you know, is 3 prostrations in the morning, 3 prostrations at night, 3 times refuge and bodhicitta prayer, morning, night. And so the idea of prostration is that we're counteracting our mind of pride, and we're developing devotion and humility by offering those prostrations and recognizing, yeah, I've got a few things still to work on. So it can give us that sense of that if we reflect on that. You know, when we, you know, make prostrations and we put our hands to the crown, we're thinking of purifying our ordinary state and creating the causes for the state of a Buddha. For example, you know, creating the cause for the Ujnisha, the crown protrusion of the Buddha, and then we, you know, realize, you know, learn about what that means. You know, I remember going to an exhibition at the Art Gallery of New South Wales, and it was a Hindu and Buddhist exhibition, like deities representations, Hinduism and Buddhism, and the Hindu ones had this stacked up and 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 up, representing all the levels of realizations you can attain. It just kept going up. It was quite amazing. And, you know, the Buddha came out of a Hindu tradition. And then when we place our hands, so first of all, it's offering this jewel, you know, precious jewel. So we're placing to our forehead and think, I'm purifying my ordinary body and creating the cause for the pure body of the Buddha. And here at the throat, I'm purifying my ordinary speech and creating the cause for the pure speech of the Buddha. And at the heart chakra, I'm purifying my ordinary mind and creating the cause for the pure mind of the Buddha. So, and that way, you know, there are many, many benefits. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, well, drawing on the scriptural text, you know, the 8 benefits, the 10 benefits of offering prostration. So one I remember is you'll have a beautiful golden body. So I'll go with that. That gets me. So then we learn about all the qualities of that and develop greater appreciation. So, you know, through familiarizing with the purpose of different techniques, we'll learn ourselves, you know, have confidence in, oh, that's the meditation that right now I need, or that's one that I can develop, or that's one I feel familiar with or comfortable with, or so forth. So we can develop that for ourselves. And then, of course, in the beginning, good to have, we said, have regular sessions, at least a few minutes. So short sessions, we want to end the session on a high when it's going well. So it's good to start the session, before you start a meditation session, you've set for yourself how long that session's going to be. And say you've said 10 minutes and it's just really going along well and you think, oh, maybe I'll keep going. Don't. Sounds weird, right? Stop at that really strong feeling. And then we sort of let it sink in and hold it in our heart chakra, hold it in our mind, let it soak into our mind while we're on a high, because then we're going to be enthused to do more. If we're sitting there and going, oh, everything aches and, oh, well, I said I'd do 20 minutes, but boy, oh boy, it's hurting me. And what's the point? I mean, at that point, it can be better to just stop the meditation. And we've talked about what we would do to overcome obstacles like that. So, yeah. So, and then when we get confident in our 10 minutes and think, this is really like every time I want to keep it going. And if it's stabilized like that, I've got a regular practice going, I'm doing my 10 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever it is, just add on 3 minutes and let that stabilize, add on 3 minutes. You know, give it time, because we are in here for the long haul, right?
Is it okay to start with something like 5 minutes?
It's okay to start with something like 5 minutes. It's okay, yeah. I think I remember one teacher saying, okay, you can have a minimum of 5 minutes. The next time I see you in a year's time, I want you to have done 300 hours So if you calculate 5 minutes over 365 days, you'll realize that you're going to have a deficit. So it was sort of saying, yes, you can have 5 minutes, but you've got to make some progress in that time, because otherwise you're not going to make the number. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, however long we decide depends on our capabilities right now. If we can easily do 10 minutes, but we say 5 minutes, then that's a laziness of the mind. So then we should be starting with longer than that. Depends where we're at, you know. And I think I might have mentioned before the person who committed himself to 1 minute a day and never broke the commitment. It's not saying he only ever did a minute a day, I hope. I mean, a minute's not very long. Yeah.
So in your practice, you talked about different focuses depending on, so if you're depressed perhaps one day, or in need of appreciating something, do you make that decision when you meditate?
Before you sit down, So you make the decision before you sit down, this is what I'm going to focus on today. Or you might decide, impermanence, that's a good topic. I think I'll do that for the next month. Right, so it's really, and both are beneficial. But if you're finding, I decided to do it for the next month, but I'm really depressed today, so I'm not sure that's the best one to be doing, because it'll just make me more depressed. Then you want something more uplifting on that day. Yeah, it's okay. You know, we're our best teacher ourselves in the end. Yeah. Don't, no.
Question about taking refuge.
Yes.
What is involved in the process, and when do you know when you're ready?
Oh, we've got a module about that coming up. that was the short answer. Yeah, that goes through what is involved. But actually, if you want to read up ahead, in this gold book, which we have here, there's a whole section on refuge and what it all is. And then if you have any questions, let me know and we can discuss that. And then and sort of, so it's like with everything, it's like with meditation, we need to have a guide, we need to have some teachings on it and have some understanding of what it means before we jump ahead and take some commitment that we have no idea what we've just done, because then it doesn't have the meaning and the grounding. And so then you'll know, subsequently you know. So just for now, leave it there as an investigation, and think that nonetheless, every time you come in here, you're reciting the refuge and bodhicitta prayer, whatever meaning it has right now, good enough. And it gets the blessings, which, you know, we don't see. It's a subtle thing on our mind stream. But yeah, read about it. Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand has a wonderful section on refuge. So read that and gradually familiarize like that. Yeah.
At the level that we're at, if you think, like, I'm talking about increasing the length of time that you meditate.
Yes, increasing the length of time.
Like 25 minutes seems to be like a
Eternity.
like a non-standard, you know.
A sort of what?
Like a standard time.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah, there is a, like when we have the meditation sessions here, for example.
So what my question is, if you can do that, are you better to then push on to or train to meditate for longer?
Yes.
Or are you better to go to another time to meditate during the day? Or both?
Oh, I see. Yeah, both. Oh, I see. Increase the number of sessions in the day. If you have the opportunity, morning and night's good, or some other time, anytime you've got the time throughout the day, but having that routine. But if you can sit comfortably for 25 minutes and focused attention, then just increase that. Maybe in one session, if you were doing 2 sessions in a day, I'd recommend that in like the morning session when our mind's fresher, to increase the time in that, and then you can let yourself slack off a bit later or give yourself that opportunity, or you might want to increase both. So yes, you increase that a few more minutes. Yeah, wherever we're at, you know, at whatever level we're at. and then it can get longer and longer, you know, depending on the time we have available as well in our day. But it's very good to, you know, not to say, oh, well, that's easy.
I was just thinking more, is it more beneficial to have two than to have one longer one, really?
Well, one longer one, if it's quality, is good because you're cultivating more levels of concentration. But also, it's not, I wouldn't take it as an option to having the other one. So I'd still have another session. You might make it 10 minutes or however long you feel comfortable with, so that, I mean, you can do it multiple times throughout the day. It just all depends how much time people have available, you know. And maybe you make a commitment to 1 or 2 sessions, and then everything on top can be a bonus, like the retreat coming up. It's a bonus, you know. And gets the benefit of meditating together, most definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, good questions. Okay, so as short or as long as you wish. And then the quality we want is being relaxed. We want to be relaxed in our meditation. You know, that we should be comfortable throughout the session, because otherwise we're just going to get frustrated. And, you know, we start that by when we sit down and we take time. We've talked about this, about all the time that we take settling ourselves into meditation practice. And some of that is sort of like, okay, I'm taking this time out from all my problems, from my work, from my family, from whatever's involvement in the external world for this time, me time, self-nourishment, self-care, mental hygiene, and, you know, just taking the time to settle ourselves, to really immerse ourselves in our inner world, you know. And I like the idea of just inviting the mind to settle. You know, it's sort of like an open thing. We're not saying, now I'm going to focus and concentrate for the next 25 minutes. You know, just a spacious, we want a sort of open, spacious environment within our mind, within ourselves. And it takes time to settle down. So what can help us, particularly, you know, we're depressed or we don't feel like doing it, we can remember some past experience of having that feeling of comfort and ease and spaciousness or calm, or why we want to meditate, reminding ourselves why we want to meditate in the first place. Not that we're trying to relive a past experience, but we have to encourage ourselves, particularly as we go on. You know, we start off with some great enthusiasm, but keeping that going year after year, that's where the challenges come. So, yeah, I always like the thing of, you know, just put everything aside. Just put everything aside. There's just, all we have to do is just be here present in this meditation. You know? And of course, we've talked about how the breath can help us come to that state, you know, just a natural rhythm of the breath. And at the same time, of course, staying alert. That, because as soon as we say relax, the body says, oh, thank you very much, you know, now I'll have time out. But having that quality. And so even we're focusing on the breath and we're noting thoughts and feelings and so forth, and we're not following them, which is what we normally do, as much as possible, not following whatever sensations, not getting engaged in them. And they'll dissolve back into the space of the mind eventually, at some point. So, you know, as we've discussed previously, our main focus is whatever object we've set for our meditation practice. And then also we can enhance that sense of physical relaxation or well-being by practices such as yoga or Tai Chi or whatever. Not in one of our prison projects in Mexico, because also they couldn't really go in and say, we're going to run some meditation as Buddhists. So they sort of had to go in a little bit under the radar. So it was a women's prison, and a woman who was leading it was a yoga teacher. So she would just say, I'm teaching them yoga. And then they do the yoga and then go into meditation. And there's many styles that do that, use the yoga as an entree into meditation, because in fact, yoga is a form of meditation itself. And, you know, different styles of yoga as well. So, and most importantly, not to have expectations of your practice. We have good days, we have bad days. And, you know, having any expectations of what it's going to be like, what we're going to experience, actually hinders that experience, gets in the way. So again, we need this just, okay, I'm prepared for the journey. Whatever arises, arises. Whatever is in the space of the mind is in the space of the mind. Whatever isn't. My concentration's good, my concentration's not good. If there are external conditions distracting me away, so be it. You know, that we have a relaxed attitude is really, really important. You know, because we don't want to have this mind of anything that's going to cause frustration, you know. So no matter what happens, we want to be not disturbed by it. You know, the chainsaws, why did they have to start just when I sat to meditate? No, just relax. And then, you know, as Lama Yeshe said, we're not like mushrooms. The results don't pop up overnight. You know, he's like, that wasn't there yesterday. Yeah. Actually, I think our mushrooms have died down now, haven't they?
I think so.
Yeah, we had lots of them popping up very quickly. I don't even think they went overnight. I think they just popped up. Anyway, we are not mushrooms. It does take time. And so the emphasis of slowly, 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 slowly. We're in here for the long haul, you know. Of course, we have to put effort in, but our effort includes that keep learning, keep studying, keep meditating, and just being committed, you know, making the commitment to, yeah, I'm committed to transform my mind. I'm in here for the long haul. And we need a lot of patience with ourselves in that. As His Holiness Dalai Lama says, if we can work for the long term, rather than the short term, work for the long term, you know, set that as your goal. And of course, we set these vast goals like Buddhahood, and we just think, oh, that's a bit too distant. But at least we can think over lifetimes, lifetimes, lifetimes. And we're not used to that. We're used to thinking of this lifetime, and I want to receive the results right now, actually, immediately. So we have to train our mind to not put such pressure on ourselves, you know. So anytime we're frustrated or judgmental with ourselves, with our practice, relax, relax. We're all on a spiritual journey. Enjoy the ride. You know, the actual journey itself, not looking for, well, where's the result of that? You know, I'm supposed to be able to focus single pointedly, concentration. Yeah. We've got lifetimes and lifetimes of not doing that. And presumably we've also got lifetimes of having done it in the past, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But, you know, it takes time, right? And also, you know, I mentioned, you know, needing a meditation guide, needing a teacher or so forth, which is a much later module, but we've got the opportunities here to come to guided meditation and so forth. We can read the meditations and then put them aside, and then whatever we recall, guide ourselves through it, or listen on a CD or MP3 player or on the computer. But eventually it's our own innate wisdom, you know, that tells us if we're heading in the right direction. You know, we get the teachings, we reflect on that, and then we feel the results at whatever level we feel the results. It's very, because we're talking about the change is at a very subtle level of mind, we don't see that. We don't see it till it's manifest. We don't see it until it's like, oh, I'm not so reactive, or, you know, something really concrete in our experience. but it's be confident that that transformation's already happening in our minds. And then we don't advertise it, you know. Being a Buddhist, for those of us who are Buddhist, it's being an inner being. Of course, once you ordain, you are a walking advertisement, so you've got to be a bit more mindful about, you know, behavior. Don't worry, it's helpful, you know, wearing robes helps with that. And then people coming up to you and wanting to conversation helps even more. You know, but generally, whatever we experience in our meditation practice, it's good to keep that private. Obviously, discuss with, if you have a teacher or so forth, and with each other as you know, fellow Dharma buddies, fellow meditators. But you know, anything that progress that way, it's good to keep it in our heart so that we hold the energy of that and grow and keep it special, you know, in our heart. You know, so from time to time, you know, you've been meditating on the Buddha and then all of a sudden pops up, oh, I got a clear Buddha image. Wow. And you want to tell everyone about it. Of course we do. We're very excited. Just hold it there. Just hold it there. Appreciate it for yourself. Value it. Let it sink in. You know. And then we don't try and make any big changes in our life unless you're destined for ordination, in which case you do make big changes, but even they come along slowly. So, you know, keeping it, yes, we can keep living our life as we're living it. And, you know, of course, some people like Nat or whatever find the time to go to Copan and, you know, take time to do that. And then, you know, take what we experience on the cushion into our daily activities. That's really what it's all about. I mean, if we're not doing that, what's the point? You know, if we're not taking that into the quality of our day-to-day living, then there's absolutely no point, you know. Okay. All right. Okay, so I was wanting to do what we didn't do previously, previous session, which was actually do a meditation on the Buddha image. If you recall a couple of sessions ago, and it was like, oh, don't have time to do that. So here we're using visualization to establish this. And nonetheless, it's very powerfully suggested as a powerful object of developing the karma abiding shamatha, concentration meditation. And so why a Buddha image is recommended as an object of concentration is because of the limitless good qualities of the Buddha. And as we study more, learn about those qualities, and we get to appreciate over time more and more, you know, that the totally perfected qualities that are innate to ourselves. And holding the mind on a Buddha image, no matter how blurry it is or, you know, how unstable it is or so forth, just bringing our mind, just recalling the Buddha is, you know, quite profound. It leaves a profound imprint on our mind. And that brings blessings from the Buddha. Just, you know, often in the scriptures, it talks about just thinking about the Buddha. So we create the conditions more and more that we familiarize to be able to remember the Buddha at the time of death, right? By familiarizing it in our mind. And meantime, it has a positive effect because it connects with our own innate good qualities, our own Buddha nature. And we know this, you know, we're focusing on something very powerful and very positive. We know that if we watch a violent movie, for example, or read those violent books, then it leaves an imprint on our mind. We might even have nightmares, you know. And so one decision in life can be, I won't do that anymore. I don't need any more of that on my mind stream. Got enough of that already. That could be a very healthy decision. Whereas, you know, focusing on positive images, powerful images like the Buddha images, reminds us of all our positive qualities, our love, our compassion, our kindness, our generosity, patience. And it's has very beneficial effects, you know. It influences those qualities within our own mind. So when we talk about Buddha nature and what is Buddha nature, we think about the nature of mind that is clear, like the vast sky, spacious, luminous, a sense of being wide open, limitless potential, our own limitless potential. And then cultivating that aspiration to develop all our good qualities to the maximum, just like Shakyamuni Buddha, Sangye, you know, overcome all the disturbing states of mind, Sang and Ge, developing all the positive qualities. And that we are fortunate to, this is what I say, it's a fortunate eon, those of us who, here we are, having connected with the Buddha's teachings, having been in an eon where the Buddha taught, because there's been many Buddhas who haven't taught, but taught specifically for the human beings in this world system, having gained all familiarity with his own mind. You know, the Buddha started out also as an ordinary being. And if you read all the tales, or even some of them, of the Buddha's story, you know, in this life I was a Lachavi youth, and this is what I did. In this life I gave myself to the tigress as a prince, and so forth. Many lifetimes of developing all these positive qualities, but in this life that manifested, that we know that the historical Buddha, of demonstrating how we can overcome all the disturbing states of mind and how we can develop all our positive qualities. And then the Buddha said, every being that has a mind can do this. So then taught, you know, how to do that ourselves. So we're very, you know, we can say we're very fortunate to be having connected with the Buddha's teachings. So here we have to believe for ourselves that it's possible to purify the mind, and without having even looked really at purification practices, but to develop a mind perfectly pure, perfectly clear, perfectly positive, and free of everything negative. Lama Tsongkhapa in the Lamrim Chenmo, the great treatise on the path, that final volume 3, where he talks, you know, the first half or so, calm abiding meditation, and then special insight meditation. He talks about the power of recalling the Buddha and using that as an object of meditation. And then he says, when your image of the Buddha is clear and firm, there's a special intensification of your meditation focus, and you know, this capacity to maintain throughout our life an awareness of the Buddha in our life, awareness when we're dying. It's mentioned in the King of Concentration Sutras. And then also when maybe at a later stage you engage in highest yoga tantra practice, there's sort of deity yoga, which is also based on visualizations of certain Buddhas, and that makes your practice more powerful. So often when people think, oh, I want to do highest yoga tantra, and it's just like, well, what have you done at the Lam Rim? What have you done? Nothing. It's just like, meditate on the Buddha, because then you're also creating those conditions for at some later stage to be able to do that, and setting the ground for that. And then Kamala Shila in the stages of meditation, mind you, in the final stages of meditation, you have sort of beginning, middle, and final. And he says, I'll quote from him here, by continuously directing their minds toward Buddha image, yogis develop a wish for its good qualities and quell laxity, excitement, and so forth. They should continue to meditate and develop meditative stabilization for as long as they can see it clearly, as though the Buddha was sitting there in front of them. So when we do visualize, we don't think, oh, a statue, a tanka, an image. We think this is the Buddha. I'm in the presence of a living Buddha. So that's what we do. So I want to finally get to that meditation now. Phew. Before I keep talking and I go, oh, sorry, ran out of time again. All right. It's actually wonderful to do as a daily practice. And there's, you know, in this book, and it comes as a separate booklet within FPMT as well. It has all the, you can elaborate on this and add many practices to it. But here we'll at least familiarize with the visualization, with the, you know, using all that reflection on the benefits of that as our motivation for this meditation, setting yourself in a conducive posture. So for this meditation, the seated posture. So for different meditations, you know, of course, we can do lying, sitting, walking, standing, but this one, sitting. And then taking a time to apply what you know about bringing your body to a state of, you know, the posture conducive to meditation, and inviting the mind to settle merely on the sensations of your breath in your body. Okay, so that recalling that this visualization is a mental image, so we don't need our eyes for that, so they can just take a rest. Of course, to allow more light in, we just leave the eyes lightly, you know, maybe half open, or at least allow some light in. Particularly when we're doing visualization meditation, it's helpful. That everything that we visualize also in the nature of like 3D, as if here, present in front of us. So at the level of your forehead, a meter or so in front, is a large golden throne, like we have here on the altar, square throne. And each corner, a pair of snow lions, white with green tails, and they signify, so everything has significance, you know. So the throne itself is bedecked with glorious jewels, the most precious jewels, radiating light. The more light we can get, the better. And the snow lions on each corner, so 8 of them, signify the Buddha's quality of fearlessness, jigme. Fearlessness. So they're facing upwards. And on top of the throne is a fully developed lotus, a multicolored lotus. Fully developed mean the petals are open outwards, which symbolizes the Buddha's holy body, speech and mind, unstained. You know, we talk about the lotus coming out of the mud of samsara, but the mud doesn't stick. So completely unstained by all the suffering of samsara, because the Buddha's mind doesn't experience suffering. And on top of that are a sun cushion and a moon cushion. And so the sun cushion represents the wisdom, that clear light mind. And the moon signifies the method of the pure altruism, bodhicitta mind, compassion. And the two together are the coming together of that, of the Buddha, of having attained the state of no more learning, completely omniscient, completely omnipresent, able to manifest as many bodies as atoms of the universe. And the lotus, sun and moon are also signifying the three principal aspects of the path to enlightenment, of renunciation, bodhicitta and wisdom, which we'll look at more in the next module. So on top of these, on top of the lotus, sun and moon seats, is Shakyamuni Buddha. He's achieved perfect cessation of all suffering, removed all the obscurations of the mind, and has attained all perfect realizations. And represents not just one Buddha, but the omniscient mind of all Buddhas, past, present, and future. And we regard the Buddha as inseparable from our own guru, our own spiritual teacher, if we have one. We could think of His Holiness Dalai Lama, for example, who take this form for us, just like Shakyamuni Buddha did. Those of us who didn't have the karma to meet Shakyamuni Buddha back then, taking the form now for our benefit to teach. And being bound with infinite compassion towards you, towards all sentient beings equally. No judgment, no criticism, just delight in our practice. And the Buddha's body is in the nature of golden light, incredibly magnificent. The more golden, the better. And he's wearing the robes of a monk, which stand out from the side, representing the level of his realizations, but also the fact of manifesting in an ordinary human form in that life as a monk. His face is very beautiful. His loving smile, these red, full lips of compassion, and his compassionate eyes looking towards you and all beings equally at the same time, encompassing, has the power to encompass all living beings, accepting you fully just as you are right now, warts and all. The Buddha's eyes being half closed represents that he's in meditative equipoise, and being half open, that engaging in activities to benefit beings. Only a Buddha can do this simultaneously. And out of compassion, working for all sentient beings, equaling the limitless sky, manifesting in whatever form connects with them, you know, whether animal form or human form, whatever it takes, whatever is of benefit. His hair is blue-black, and each hair perfectly curled to the right, symbolizing the sort of ethical conduct, discipline, control. And on the crown of his head, the Ujnisha going up above, representing the extent of his realizations. The palm of his right hand is resting on his right knee, draped over the right knee, the middle finger touching the moon cushion, representing control over the, we talk about the evil maras, the mara of desire, complete control over that. So the time of the Buddha's sitting under the Bodhi tree, you know, it's showing that images of beautiful women and so forth, trying to distract the Buddha off from the practice, and he just stayed there stable, overcome desire. And his left hand in his lap in the mudra of meditation, so with the palm faced upwards, symbolizing that he's overcome the mara of destructive attitudes, disturbing thoughts, afflictions, delusions. And in that hand, holding a bowl full of nectar, signifying that he's overcome the mara of the aggregates, the body, form, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, consciousness, the body and mind of samsara, so no longer exists for Buddha. So he's sitting cross-legged in what we call the Vajra posture, Vajra meaning it's indestructible, it's incredibly firm. This symbolizes that he's overcome death. In this way, he's destroyed all the causes for samsara. And also is destroying at the same time the causes of those afflictive states of mind and samsaric results for all other beings, benefiting them as much as possible. Sitting peacefully, and beams of light, interlaced beams of the multicolored lights going out in all directions to benefit beings, as long as space endures, whatever will benefit. So we can say each feature of his body represents an aspect of his omniscient mind. You know, every atom of his being, a realization, his inner attainments. And at the same time represents the causes of that, the merit that was accumulated through all those past lifetimes to result in enlightenment. You can think that no matter how much you hold in your gaze the Buddha representation, the Buddha image, and reflect of that, no matter how much you look at the Buddha, feeling the presence in front of you, you're never satiated. So holding here, so having established this visualization, holding it strongly in your mind stream for as long as you can, stabilize that in your mind, think of all the power of that, the benefits of that. And if your attention wavers, just release, refresh your breath. Even you do a few more meditations on the breath and reset your attention, come back, re-establish the image of Shakyamuni Buddha as if you're in the presence of the living Buddha right here, right now. And at the same time, we can think that the rain here is bringing the blessings of the Dharma showering down upon us from the Buddha. So holding that powerful image of the Buddha in your mind strongly, we can now apply this focused attention, appreciation of the Buddha to analytical meditation. In this one, purification. We haven't really touched on to any great extent, but I'll guide you through. So we can visualize that white light and nectar beams, like droplets of nectar on each beam of light, is showering into you from this Buddha in front, from the Buddha's heart, entering into your body, speech and mind. And as it does so, if you're any diseases, any problems you're having, any negative karma, any obscurations, we can feel that it's all being washed out of us, you know, being completely cleansed. Like when, you know, you put the clothes in the washing machine, they come out nice and clean. So just like that with our mind, you know, this white light coming in, purifying, cleansing, and transforming our body into beautiful, crystal, clean, clear, pure, radiant white light. So if you can visualize that, I'll recite the mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha and just hold that visualization as much as you can and feel it's really happening, detoxing body and mind. Mahamuneya Soha Ayata Mune Mune Mahamuneya Soha Ayata Mune Mahamuneya Soha. Allow your mind to really feel that purity of yourself, of your mind, of your body, of your speech. Then visualize this time golden light, the most golden light coming from the Buddha's body, from the heart chakra, pouring into your body, every atom, like a beautiful shower of golden light into your body, speech and mind flowing into you. And you're receiving all the positive qualities, all the fully developed, perfect qualities of a Buddha, which are limitless to imagine, you know? And that you're being transformed through the power of the blessings. Your mind is being transformed into perfect understanding of the Buddha's omniscient mind. And you yourself, it awakens your own Buddha nature. It awakens your own perfect compassion, perfect power, perfect wisdom of a Buddha. Your fullest potential. And And it delights the mind, makes it very happy. So again, I'll recite the mantra 3 times and hold that visualization as much as you can of the golden light coming in and all these positive qualities being fully perfected, and you become just like that golden Buddha. To really feel your body, speech, and mind completely transform, golden light, and fully perfected all our positive qualities beyond measure, beyond imagining, fully content, peaceful, wise, patient, kind, loving, compassionate. Then Guru Shakyamuni Buddha in front dissolves into an orb of light. So the throne, the snow lions absorb into the throne, and all the jewels absorb into the lotus, to the sun cushion, up to the moon cushion, up to the body of the Buddha, which comes like a pure essence, connecting with your own Buddha nature, coming through the crown of your head, streaming down into your heart chakra. Feel that heartfelt connection. Your own body, speech, and mind, one with the body, speech, and mind of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha. Holy body, holy speech, holy mind. And just focus on that sense of oneness, of inseparability yourself from the Buddha. Think, this is me, this is who I truly am, this is my true nature. Hold that experience as long as you can. So holding that powerfully in your experience, letting it soak into the depths of your mind, making stronger and stronger imprints. We can draw together all our positive energy from this powerful meditation and feel a determination to live our lives in this way with a good heart, feeling great compassion and loving kindness for others, extending hand and heart to others whenever the opportunity arises. And think that because you've developed this mind, generated this thought to benefit others, the good heart, you're making your life worthwhile. And so the Buddha is extremely pleased with you, will guide you, is guiding you. and rejoice in your practice, thinking how wonderful that is. Then when you're ready, relax. Carry that energy out from the meditation. Don't leave it behind. Especially for the opportunities we can take in our daily life. So hopefully in this way we've developed some awareness of the benefits of meditating on a Buddha image in particular. So in that meditation, I was guiding you through establishing the details and what everything means. So that we can say is the analytical part. And then when we hold our mind in that space, the power of concentration. And so familiarizing yourself so that you don't, in the end, need to go through all the points, because as soon as you focus on the image of the Buddha, you have an appreciation for those qualities, or at least as much as you can, even whatever you have right now. And just hold that, I was reading one commentary that said, have the image as big as you can, but a lot of them also say as small as possible. So go figure. Generally, whatever you establish, just hold that, keep that as whatever size it is, don't get, fixated on, am I doing it right? You are doing, if you're doing it, you're doing it right. If we're meditating right, right? So I've run out of time for us to have discussion. That was the plan there. Discussion points. So sorry, I always run out of time for something. So I think, everyone will have hopefully received the questions for discussion, if you like, the questions for this module. And so it's not compulsory, but if you wish to complete those, which, is just a way of reflecting on what we've gone through and what you remember, what you recall from your own side, particularly about the benefits of meditating and how that benefits you, but also how to counteract all the difficulties in meditation or getting into meditation when they arise. We're all in the same boat. We all have the same difficulties. And then what particular practices and yeah. So I think we've covered a lot of territory in this module. So you can sort of, as much as you can, even like if you take, I just think that the practice on the Buddha, the whole sort of package of the practice is very beautiful to do as a daily practice. And it's very uplifting for the mind, transformative for the mind. So anyway, leave you with that, all the array of techniques available to you. And as I was saying, yeah, if you want to do the answers to the questions, assessment questions, then you can just email them and have a look at those and give you some feedback. Our next module is starting in May, when I'm back in May, presenting the path, which is about the whole graduated path to enlightenment, just the overview, which then comes along in subsequent modules, topic by topic by topic. And so on the foundation of meditation practices, it's sort of like you get the teachings, it's like, oh, this is how we meditate on these topics. I just wanted to check with you, the way that, because, I have a month here and then I go to Bunbury for a couple of weeks and come back. Is this working for you okay, having the 2 weeks break for folks? It's not too long, anybody? It was just, I was asked that question yesterday and I said, well, I have to ask the focus group. The very focused group now. So, okay, so we'll continue on like that then. And that's good. Meantime, as I said, we've got the 2 days. Can I get a sense of who might, this is not committing you, who might be coming on Friday, Saturday without any, oh, quite a few. Okay, that's great. So it's online as well. It's on Zoom as well. At 9 o'clock. Yeah, 9 o'clock. And yeah. Okay, so any questions? Any other questions rather? Okay, all righty. So I'll see some of you on Friday, Saturday, even if you can only come for part, you can't come for all, that's absolutely fine by me. We get what we can. So we will nonetheless dedicate all our merits. Seriously, you know, when that rain started, I've got so used to thinking about rain as Dharma falling, they go, great. Every time. Well, it might also help that we really want rain here, right? I get disappointed when it gets revised. Oh, yeah, we said it was going to rain, but it's not, you know, not happy chappy. Okay, so we'll do page 16. We'll do in English, these dedications under the mantra there. Through the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the precious body mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Okay, thank you very much. Everybody stay well and see you soon.